Menopause has suddenly become one of the loudest conversations online. I'm sure you would agree with me. But with all this noise, all the confusion and conflicting information out there, how do women really know what's true and what actually matters for their health? Well, today we are having a real honest conversation about menopause, hormone therapy, strength training, nutrition, lifestyle, and why women are not broken during this phase of life. And joining me today is the incredible Amanda Thebe. Amanda is a fitness and women's health expert, best-selling author of Menopacalypse, speaker, educator, and one of the leading voices helping women navigate menopause with honesty, humor, science, empowerment. And she's been educating women on this topic for over a decade and is passionate about helping women cut through the misinformation and focus on what truly matters for long-term health and quality of life. This was such a refreshing and empowering conversation, and I cannot wait for you to hear it. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of Rock That Fitness with Anna Rockstar. And we have a very, very special guest today, Amanda Thebe. So excited to have you today. I have been waiting for this day. Welcome.
Really excited to be here, Anna. Really great to catch up with you at the Real Coaches Summit, which is where we met. Had a good old chat. And I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you. We have so many connections. I was like shocked that
you did?
It took meeting you at Real Coaches Summit. Yes.
Oh.
So this a lot of coaches at Real Coaches Summit that I've been in touch with for years. So I'm like, well, it's funny because what happens is you and we all become more of content creators than we become consumers. And so I think that's kind of what happens.
We do. I think Andrew Coates may be the one that connects everyone.
Oh, yes. Amazing. He's connected me with so many amazing people. So I loved getting to know you at Real Coaches Summit. And of course, I was immediately drawn to you and your energy and your personality, and especially just your excitement for helping women know that we're not broken as we are entering this phase of our lives, aging, perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, and these things. And so I just loved your talk. I loved how you presented, and I couldn't wait to meet you in person that day.
Thank you. It's one of those things that, I have been talking about menopause now for a decade. I'm 56, probably more because I'm 56 this year, and I went into what I think was perimenopause around 42 and got answers. So I had 2 years in the wilderness when I was about 44, and then started going, what the hell's going on here? I don't understand what my body's doing, etc. And started talking about it on a platform that I'd sort of already got a few followers on. And then I really started digging into this about a decade ago and saying, do you know about this? Nobody's telling us this. This is crazy. And really felt like I was filling gaps. I wasn't trying to give anyone medical advice or anything. It was really just we have to talk about this time of our lives. And what I've seen is from that time, over 10 years ago, when I started talking about it, perimenopause wasn't even a word, Anna. When the doctor said it to me, I was like, what? What's perimenopause? And then now it's in our lexicon, and that's great, and we have way more education. But what's happened has been a massive shift, and it's seismic from being something we never spoke about because there is stigma and taboo still, by the way, to be now, we can latch onto this, and the wellness world do this, and they take advantage of women, and now there's an industry. And it's billions of dollars. It's not even just a small industry. It's billions of dollars. And they want a piece of you now.
Yeah, I've noticed that too, obviously. And as a personal trainer online for women, I'm going to be honest, for a long time, I stayed away from that topic. I was like, I'm not doing that. Let's leave that to the experts. But to be honest, and I just had to get real with it. I'm like, look, the women that I serve are mostly between the ages of 40 and 60. So I cannot ignore this anymore. I know for myself, I do pay attention to my blood work. I know the importance because I am a nurse. So I can't ignore that, right? And especially for my women. And that's why I wanted to bring you onto the podcast, because I know that especially in Rock That Fitness with us, we do very much focus on our strength training, our nutrition for our health and longevity, and we focus on mindset. So I don't focus on the menopause part. It's just a given. Like, we're all kind of going through this phase, but I think that there's a lot of things that I want to help normalize for women that don't think about it or talk about it or don't want to talk about it. And that's exactly what I was hoping that you could bring to the table. Like, here are the things that women aren't talking about, and everybody's different. That's the other thing too, because while I remember my gynecologist back when I was strength training and I was in the late 40s, I wasn't having any quote unquote symptoms. I don't like to call them symptoms, but any signs that I was entering menopause or any of that. And they were telling me my testosterone levels were low. And I remember this, I was on the phone with the nurse telling me this while I was at the gym pumping iron. I was like, I don't need anything, I'm fine. And so I didn't pay attention to any of that in terms of, like, I was like, I will not do anything in terms of hormone replacement until I feel like I need to. And so that's how I handled it for myself. But I know that this is very unique and individual to each and every woman. So anyway, anything you want to add?
And I came at this as a place of, like, I come from the same background as you. I did my personal training and strength training certifications in the UK when I lived there, like, over 30 years ago. Like, I've been doing this a long, long time. I've got a million subspecialties, like we all do. I've worked with athletes, I've worked with pro athletes in the NBA, I've worked with seniors, I've worked with pre and postpartum. And so I've worked with a diverse group of the population, like actual training. And the only thing that, like, menopause was never part of any of those subspecialties, right? So I just felt like when I was going through menopause myself, when I found out what it was, I was like, I'm supposed to have had decades of understanding of human physiology, yet something is happening to me that nobody told me about. So from a family standpoint, my mum never told me about it, my grandma, my friends, my peers. I couldn't find the information. I was like, what is going on? This is just crazy. And so I definitely came into the conversation about menopause going, there's stuff that women should know about, and I'm prepared to tell them. I'm prepared to talk about my dry vagina on national TV, and I have, and I don't care, because you only have to say it once, and then you're like, okay, the horse is bolted, now I can just say that all the time.
Exactly.
Exactly. But one of the things I'm very, very careful about doing, and I think I emphasize this in the talk that I did, is that coaches need to stay in their lane, and they don't. They don't. They give medical advice. They tell women to do things and take things, and they shouldn't. And what I do, and I think what we can do as coaches, is we can be really well-informed coaches, and we can look to the experts who are in the Menopause Society, who issue guidelines that are the most current guidelines we know. I don't care what some of these crazy social media doctors with millions of followers tell you. They don't know anything that the Menopause Societies don't know, because they get teams and teams of experts to review all the data globally. And so I think I found a place as a bridge where I can dig into the guidelines, ask the experts who I've made my best friend, Anna, and then I can do that knowledge translation so that we can humanize the complicated and just have a conversation about it. And so, like, for your experience is likely to be very different to mine and very different to the next person's, but the guidelines are standard, and we can apply them as it fits the individual. The shared experience with a unique perspective. That's how menopause should be discussed. And I think, just to finish off my little rant, I really do believe that as coaches, when you see things like hormone balancing coaches, etc., you need to know that that's a massive red flag. Right? If you've got a coach that says, I will take your blood work and I will analyze it for you and I will tell you if you need hormone therapy or not, that's a massive red flag. And it also goes against what the independent guidelines tell us to do.
Yeah. Gosh, so much in that when you just said that. That's how I feel. I want to stay in my lane, because it's not my job to interpret labs, but it is my job to tell my women to get your labs, to know what's going on, and talk to your doctor and know your options, and ask the questions and get a second opinion if you need to. But when you say guidelines, can you give us an idea, just kind of an overview of what you mean by that?
So the guidelines are issued by a lot of organizations. There's a lot of menopause organizations globally. The ones that sort of stand out are I'm in Canada, the Canadian Menopause Society. There's International Menopause Society guidelines, British menopause guidelines, I'm in that, Australasian guidelines, and there's also the American ones, which are just the Menopause Society. They all agree. They all agree. There might be some nuance in there, but they all agree. And when they talk about menopause, they have definitions that they all agree on. They have symptoms that they all acknowledge and agree on. And then they have treatment options, which they all acknowledge and agree on. Some of the treatment options are slightly different because of availability, as you know, as a nurse, internationally.
Yeah.
But the indications are the same almost always. And so what that means is that if you can inform your clients, if you're a coach or if you're a woman who is just going through this, we know what this all is. It's just the information hasn't been disseminated, right? And so we can tell you what stage you would be in menopause. We can acknowledge what the symptoms are, and then there are guidelines that you could take to your doctor and say, I'd like to discuss menopause and these are my treatment options. Can I talk to you about making a plan? The problem is menopause is a natural life stage for almost all women. There are clearly women that go through menopause in a forced or surgical way, like
Right.
post cancer, or like having their an oophorectomy, having their or hysterectomy with their ovaries removed. Most women will statistically go through this as a life phase. That doesn't mean it's easy at all. And what's happened, and especially we know these stats in the US, is there is no training for your primary care providers. It's not part of their general education, and those that specialize in to be
Mm-hmm.
an OBGYN,
Right.
it's something like 1 in 10 will take training, and it's an opt-in weekend that they do. Like, there's a big gap in care for women. I mean, some doctors just know about it and will treat you. Other women have to spend 6 to 8 appointments trying to find someone to listen to them. Those stats are shocking, right?
Right.
And then some women will go to a specialist, right? And even then, is that specialist going to treat you? Because there's specialists that don't stay with the guidelines. They'll do unregulated hormones and pellets and things that
Mm-hmm.
may potentially harm women. And so it's literally like the Wild West out there, Anna. I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you, and I have to say, after being a member of 3 healthcare systems, which is the British, the Canadian, and the US, I find the US experience in the healthcare system the scariest
Oh my
and the
gosh.
most inconsistent.
Oh my gosh. And that does take me back to
Please
my
don't
own
be
experience.
offended by that, but
Oh,
I
I'm not at
literally, it's an
all.
observation. Yeah.
No, not at all. I love hearing. I mean, you obviously have some experience in
Yeah.
different, you know, backgrounds here, but like it takes me back to my own personal experience with my own symptoms, if you will. And I did when I finally decided I could tell there were some things. The big one for me, and I'll just be straight
Yeah.
honest up with this, it was not my energy, it was not my stamina,
Yeah.
it was not my strength, my muscle mass, none of that. For me, when the red flag went up was when my libido dropped. Blink, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, now I'm going to go find out because I wasn't going to have that. That was the red flag for me. Then when I talked to my gynecologist, he wanted to do a pellet. And as a nurse, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, no, we're not doing a pellet because this doesn't have, like, I'm not going to know for sure what's my dosage, what's my frequency, is this really what my body needs? What's all that absorption happening there is not controlled. In my head, I'm like, I'm not doing a pellet. And I refused, and he didn't have any other options. So I went online for a health group. I went to Merrick Health, and I got outstanding care online. So I have been taking care of my own hormone replacement therapy for the last couple years now, and it's been fantastic. I don't notice anything different in my life. Like, I'm great physically. But what, if you don't mind, what can you share your experience?
Yeah, yeah, I can. I'll just comment on the pellets. That the pellets are the FDA. I don't know that the FDA is the FDA that it previously was, but the FDA have actually gone after the company BioT because of adverse health aspects that have happened because of the pellets. The pellets of testosterone that you get and sometimes estrogen are supra psychological doses, meaning extra high doses, almost like PEDs, like performance enhancing drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Women get these injected into usually their backside, and
Mm-hmm.
they're there for 3 months, and you usually feel good because, yeah, you're on an anabolic steroid at this point.
Right.
And it's not controlled. You can't take it out, and there's no guarantee that you're going to feel good on it. And in fact, there's a lot of women do it and don't feel good. And when you have extra high doses of testosterone, the effects that can happen from that to some women are voice changes, engorged clitoris, and balding that are irreversible. It's just a risk that's not necessary when there are indications for different preparations, say for testosterone, that are indicated to be safe. So my experience was, 10 years ago, I was still in the world of menopause hormone therapy causes cancer. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
it. And I said to my gynecologist, who was actually great, no, thank you. I don't want cancer. Give me something else. And he diagnosed my symptoms as being depression, migraines with aura. And I also had some incontinence that came out of nowhere as well. And I'd had like
Mm-hmm.
kids 10 years prior, and they'd popped out these 9.5 pound babies with no impact on me. And all of a sudden, this was happening.
Yeah.
So he then prescribed me an antidepressant for my depression. And he just said, let's monitor it and see what happens. And that did work for me until other symptoms started to appear. One of the worst symptoms, again for me, on top of other things, was chronic fatigue. And we know that that's a massive symptom in
Yeah.
menopause. Estrogen crosses the blood-brain barrier. It's an integral part of our energy system, and a lot of women will feel like they can't sleep off this fatigue that's bone deep, and it doesn't make a ton of sense. And I was respectful, having my background, respectful of the exercise output, my recovery, my nutrition. That was all on point. I was still bone dead tired. Plus another couple of symptoms. I went to try menopause hormone therapy, and I will tell you, over the 5 years I tried different preparations, every single time I went on menopause hormone therapy, my symptoms got worse and I had adverse reaction to it. And I was really upset about this because I just kept thinking, I feel like I failed perimenopause because my body turned against me. That's what it felt like. And I've always invested so much time and energy into my health. So that frustrated me.
Yeah.
Secondly, I thought I'm going to go on the number one indicated treatment that, the Menopause Society recommends. And I tried different preparations, and every single time I'd feel good for about 2 weeks, and then everything would get so much worse, to the point I had suicidal ideation, like
Wow.
really, really adverse reactions to it.
Wow.
I remember one point my husband was like, just stop taking it. And as soon as I stopped taking it, I was fine. And well,
Wow.
not fine. I still had some
Yeah.
stuff, but it wasn't. And I later found out that, that's just one of the side effects. Some women have a sensitivity. And I think I have a sensitivity to everything I take. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's really important to let women know that we know that menopause hormone therapy is a safe treatment option for menopausal symptoms, not for longevity, not for disease prevention. It cannot be indicated for that, but for menopause symptoms, it's a really great option, and more women should have the opportunity to speak to their healthcare provider about it and find the option that works best for them. But there are still women that don't do well on it, and I'll hold my hands up to that. Like, not everybody responds well to it. And since I've started talking about that, I hear women saying, that was me too, who knew?
Yeah.
There are then also going to be women that can never take it. And as a nurse, Anna, you know this, there's always contraindications to every medications, and
Sure.
hormone therapy isn't a supplement, it's a medication. It's a pharmacological
That's true. Yeah.
medication. Treat it with the respect it needs. And there are some women, some breast cancer survivors, if you've had DVT, there may be some options you need to consider. You have to just find out if there are any contraindications. And also, I'll just add this here,
And
menopause is supposed to be considered a diagnosis of exclusion. And the blood work that you're talking about that I definitely lean into are things like get your all of your lipids done and your cholesterol levels and stuff, and make sure there's nothing underlying, because you need to make sure that you're a candidate for menopause hormone therapy without anything underlying as well. It's so women don't get that care. They should. It's frustrating. I understand that. And so ultimately, back to the original question, which was what did I do, is we know menopause hormone therapy is indicated as the best treatment. It didn't work for me, and I needed something else. And so for quite a lot of years, I was on an antidepressant as well as going to therapy. And I had never had depression in my life. And we
Wow.
know that this is a symptom of menopause. The brain changes shape and structure. I also am British and I'd packed all of my childhood trauma into a box and buried it in the garden, and it came back to bite me. And so I had to face
Yeah.
a few demons. And then also, I'm on, and I will continue to be probably for the rest of my life, a prophylactic migraine medication, and I am fine. And one of the things I would like to end this sort of part on is that I think that the pendulum has shifted talking about menopause hormone therapy because really the uptake is still quite low. A lot of women should have the option to talk about it, and they don't, and they don't improve their quality of life, or other options, because there are a lot of non-hormonal pharmaceuticals that can help, right? So that's something that's not happening. But on the flip side of things, on social media now, I'm hearing about how hormone therapy can help with longevity and disease reduction, etc., and that's just not supported by long-term data yet, or even if it will be, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so I really stand here as a person who is not on hormone therapy, didn't work for me, healthy, strong, really good blood markers, and because we know the things that help women live longer, be healthier and stronger are the lifestyle interventions, and the pharmaceutical side of it is to help support that if needed. And that
Yeah.
shouldn't be a radical thing to say, but it seems to be at this stage in our lives. I don't know why. Gosh, I
No,
ranted a bit there. Sorry, Anna.
no, that's fine. You can rant all you want. That's why you're here. I want you to do the ranting. Um, I think that just to wrap up what we were saying earlier about, is it for everybody, and everybody's going to be different when it comes to how they're going to respond or not respond. So I just want to reiterate that to be patient with that process. If you do choose that you wanted to do something like that, it's not something that's going to be overnight. It's going to take some months to dial in what's going on, whether it's working, whether it's not working, whether you need to adjust your dosage or whatever, if you do choose this kind of a thing. It's not like an overnight, you're doing this and it works or it doesn't. It's not like that. I know from my own experience, it took a good, I don't know, 4 to 6 months before we dialed in what was working for me. And that was based off of labs. It wasn't just biofeedback, my own biofeedback. It was based on labs as well as my biofeedback. So I'm only just saying that to women listening to know that it's not an overnight thing, and be patient with the process and don't give up and do what's necessary. And if you are working with a provider that you feel like it's 6 months, it's 12 months, and it's still a struggle, like, do not be afraid to get a second opinion. Keep seeking what you need for yourself.
I say that
That's
with all health issues for sure. And and
for
and and
everything.
they know with menopause hormone therapy, it's more likely to be more successful the closer you are to menopause. Right? Sometimes it takes a while for the formulation, even the delivery method to work. I might just add about your lab work, and I'll tell you what the menopause guidelines are because they
Okay.
they are very clear. When it comes to perimenopause and menopause, if a woman is seeking out medical care to help with her symptom management, the indications are that it should be based on symptoms alone. So
Okay.
if you present with symptoms to your medical provider, they should be able to treat on symptoms alone. And the reason that
Okay.
they don't actually recommend blood work, and that would be your estrogen and progesterone levels in your body, is because they're dynamic. And if you
That's
went and
right.
had your blood work done on a Monday and then on a
True.
Friday, they would be completely different. And it doesn't really tell the story, but you do. So the biofeedback actually is probably more important. But there is one indicator in blood work that does tell women if they're in menopause, and that's the FSH level, your follicular stimulating hormone, because that gets super, super high when it
Okay.
literally sends a message from the brain to the ovaries going, kick out another egg, why don't you? And it's trying really hard and
Yeah.
there's none left,
Right.
right? And so the FSH goes super high. So I don't think there's a problem with getting blood work. I love numbers, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
get them and I'm like, oh, look at me, look at me. But,
Sure.
but overriding that is how you're feeling and what the symptoms are. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying with that, right?
Very well, because that just affirms why I didn't feel like I needed anything at the time when the doctors were saying your testosterone is low. And I'm like, so I will not do anything until I feel like it. So thanks for the affirmation. And also, it is true with any of our blood work, it is just most of the time, it is, you have to consider that is a snapshot in time, and things are constantly fluctuating with our bodies and our metabolism. And if you're going to do that, yeah, pay attention and compare over time trends, what's happening.
Exactly, exactly. And the other thing I would just say is though, there are some women that go into menopause early. Under the age of 45 is considered early menopause, and that means you haven't got your period anymore. It's been 12 months and you haven't had your
Yeah.
period. Under the age of 40 is considered premature menopause, but it's really called primary ovarian insufficiency, POI, and that can actually happen from people, women, who in their teenage years all the way up to 40. And so they're actually considered health conditions, and that's when hormone replacement therapy would be considered, probably in the form of a birth control pill, because when you don't have hormones for a prolonged period of time until the age of menopause, it can potentially have health risks, and blood work is usually indicated so it's because it's a medical condition, right? And so
Yeah.
yeah, so it's nuanced for sure, the conversation. If the doctor requests you to get blood work, I wouldn't ever say no, because I'm a bit, like I say, a bit of a numbers person and I like to see them. But if he
Yeah.
offers you treatment based on just how you're feeling, that's okay too, is
Okay.
the point, right?
Right, right. Cool. And this kind of makes me think about, since we are all different, and I guess you and I are probably in the same generation. It sounds like we're about the same age.
Yeah. 1970.
Yes, I'm 70. Yeah,
Yeah,
same, we're the same.
70s
And
babes.
but my mom, when I think back, they didn't talk about this. So I reflect back on my mother going through this change or whatever. She didn't ever complain about any symptoms ever. And she didn't ever do any hormone replacement therapy. And I remember as I was approaching this phase and everybody's talking about it, not everybody, but it was coming to my attention. I did ask her about it. And as you know, I just lost my mom recently, but I
Yeah.
did have this conversation with her, and she never did any hormone replacement therapy. And so I love that you spoke to this, because it's a choice, and based on your symptoms, based on what you desire, what you feel like is best for your body. And like you said, there's no long-term research on if it's really impacting your longevity. I mean, my mom, aside from her medical conditions, because that was brought on by lifestyle, aside from that, like, I didn't see her struggling in terms of her hormones. I didn't ever see her having hot flashes. She never talked about hot flashes. She did none of the real symptoms that everybody talks about, the most common.
Yeah.
I never saw my mother struggle with those kind of things.
So the conversation never came up. And with my
Yeah.
mom, I remember her having something, but it was at the time that the WHI study came out, which literally said hormone therapy causes breast cancer. And so I saw her struggling and was like, just so you know, you're never going on hormones. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And maybe she would have done well on them in retrospect. But I think another thing, the other side of this as well, though, Anna, is that if you're someone who is on menopause hormone therapy, and there's a difference between HRT and menopause hormone therapy. The
Yes.
terminology isn't HRT when you're going through perimenopause and menopause, because it's not replacing your hormones. It's a very low level dose that really just calms the waters and usually makes women feel human again. Hormone replacement therapy is if anyone's gone into early or premature menopause. That's what the indications. Just it's
Okay.
really good for women to be able to know what to ask for, right? But if you're on menopause hormone therapy and you're doing well on it and you're well into postmenopause and you don't want to come off it, providing you get regular health checks, there is no reason why you need to come off. And so I just want to put that out there too, because I think that, like, we've been scared about it, but it's like the recommendations are, if you're doing well on it, then it's fine. It's not going to cause you any harm. The flip side of that is, if you're 10 years past the date of your last period, so my last period was 48, soon as I'm 58, that's obviously 10 years past, they need to look at your health, because what menopause hormone therapy can do is potentially have issues with your changing your arteries, your blood
Yeah.
flow. It stiffens. You probably know all of this. And so it's not benign, right? It might cause issues for cardiovascular health. And so it really is this nuanced conversation again. And I don't think that it's fair to say that menopause hormone therapy is completely safe and it has no risks. Everything has risks. The
Sure.
risks are very low, and most women do well on it. And if you can't go on it, then there are way brilliant options for you. You don't need to suffer. And the main thing is women shouldn't suffer. Their quality of life shouldn't be impacted. And a lot of women do. A lot of women go through a terrible time and they just push through and they don't need to.
Yeah. Excuse me. Since you just mentioned that, I think it's a great topic to bring up, especially because of my audience. I'm sure your audience too. They're seeking out to be healthier, be fitter, live a fit lifestyle, especially as we're aging, to stay strong and these kind of things. But what would you say are some of the biggest mistakes that women are making with exercise and nutrition during this change in their lives?
It's a really great question. So I don't know about you. I have an industry standard nutrition certification. I've had it about 12 years now in precision nutrition. And so I'm certified level 1, 2 of those. I have a really good understanding of our nutritional requirements. I also can ask the experts as well. I really wanted something to be different in menopause from a nutritional standpoint. I really wanted it to be there's a menopause diet. Nothing's going to be the same now. We all have to change that, and I
Yeah.
did see that happen. Things like the Galveston diet came out, like a whole load of like really predatory diets that put women into a very, very low calorie deficit,
Yeah.
that made them cut out whole food groups, made them do intermittent fasting and blah de blah de blah. And unless that's something you really want to do, you don't need to do it, right? And that's the thing I think that comes out of this. What we do know is as we get older, you must talk about this all the time, is sarcopenia can sort of raise its head, and that's when we start to lose muscle mass. And it's really power and strength that start to decline, not the
Right.
physical size, but like the power and strength output start to decline from our 30s. And that happens because we're basically more sedentary and we're getting older. So we
Right.
can't do much about getting older, but we can do a lot about being sedentary. Menopause
Yeah.
doesn't accelerate muscle loss. There is no data to support that. You don't suddenly start getting floppy and small and atrophied in menopause. And you can still build and
Yeah.
maintain muscle in menopause. It does impact our bone health.
Mm-hmm.
The risk of osteoporosis increases after menopause. And if you're not actively trying to do something about that, you may be, not definitely, you may be at high risk. And so what changes is that our whole landscape changes. So we're in a lower level of hormonal sort of state. Estrogen is very protective of our heart, our metabolic health, not our metabolism, but being insulin resistant, our sensitivities, all of those things are impacted by estrogen. Even when the body starts to find some homeostasis, it sort of still is impacted. And what the body really needs is for you to move purposefully and more, right? And honestly, the big rocks that we're going to talk about, you've heard it, you're going to have talked about 1,000 times on this show. Move more and move purposefully. Your heart needs it. The American
Yes.
Heart Association have indicated that leaning into a Mediterranean diet, which is lots of fruit and vegetables, lean, healthy proteins and fats, and exercise can reduce cardiovascular risk by 80%, and it's the number one
Number
killer of
one.
women in North America.
That's right. That's the number
So,
one killer of
so
women.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's two things that are in your control. Moving with purpose more. And that's essentially like just getting the heart moving, right? Whether that's
Right.
dancing with your neighbor or going to aquafit or going to run 26 mile in a marathon. I don't care. Move your heart. Strength training. We need to hang on to our muscle as much as humanly possible, and it doesn't just from a physique standpoint, but it
Right.
from our metabolic health, our brain health, our heart health, everything is benefits from strength training. Nobody does not benefit from strength
That's
training. I
right.
said that in a really double negative way, but you know what I mean. And then improved sleep. Like try and get your sleep, easier said than done, but like sleep can take a bit of a hit through menopause, but it really does help us like get us set up for the day and our overall health. And so for me, the things that need to change is from a dietary standpoint, protein needs increase as we get older.
Yeah.
Fiber needs increase and we don't
Yeah.
get enough fiber. So I'm really pragmatic about all my advice, and you maybe are. I'm like, try and get 25 grams of protein every meal and you eat 4 times a day. Try and get 25 grams of fiber a day. That's really easy. Eat 3 kiwi fruit. It's not, you don't have to buy like
No,
a
like a
$50.
Metamucil. You don't have to have Metamucil if you're getting plenty of
Well, you
fiber
can
in
if
your
you
food.
need it, but
You
that's
can
like,
add it.
what's that, $10 from CVS? There's menopause doctors online selling fiber for $50 a
Oh,
month.
it's so silly.
It's
Yeah.
gross. It's
It's
predatory. And then
unbelievable.
do the recommendations of 150 minutes of active movement a
A
week.
week. Yeah.
It's 20 minutes a day or 10 minutes of vigorous exercise a day, and then strength train 2 or 3 times a week if you can. And it can
You're
be
my people.
exercise snacking. It's none of this is rocket science. It's sometimes just I have a lot going on. How do I fit this into my life? It's just another thing to do. You don't start there. You're aiming for that. You can
Right.
start small. That's how
Yeah.
every coach will tell you to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a couple of things when you're talking, I'm thinking about like diets and not diets in terms of like weight loss diets. I'm talking about like so the Mediterranean diet, these kind of or a diabetic diet or heart
Nash.
diet,
Yeah.
these kind of things. And really when it boils down to is eating heart healthy. Like that is the bottom line. Like it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter. Like we do of course it does matter if you have diabetes and you need to watch your sugar levels and those kind of things. But what I'm talking about in general, it always comes down to what is our body intended to consume to
Yeah.
nurture our systems. It's not complicated. And
And
yeah,
you
like
know
the
what, Anna, do you hear this with your clients? I'm turning the tables on you now. Do you hear this with your clients? Are they still afraid of eating carbs? Do you?
Mine learn not to be afraid of carbs. We eat a variety of everything. There's some guidelines that we give. I give guidelines for everything. We're not
Yeah.
gonna exclude any macro because our bodies need those things. Carbs are as you know, that's our energy source. So no, my women when they come into RTF, they learn
Good.
pretty quick. Like we're gonna have a balance of these things that our bodies need.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
estrogen crosses not estrogen, sorry, glucose. So obviously carbohydrates break down into glucose in the body.
glucose. Yeah,
Glucose crosses the blood-brain barrier. It's our primary energy source.
absolutely,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
so it's starving out. And of course, carbohydrate. I always think there's like carbohydrate spectrum. Your fruit and veg, to me, I think you eat in abundance. It's really hard to overeat
We
those.
can't overeat like greens.
I know, I
Spring
know.
mix, pile it up.
Fill your cup, literally, plate,
Totally.
bowl,
Eat as much
whatever.
broccoli as you want. You're not going to
Yeah.
get fat on broccoli.
And then that you've got your legumes, your starchy, your starch stuff, like add them to your meal and know
Absolutely.
that they've
Yeah.
got health benefits too
Right.
from like a cholesterol standpoint, etc. And then the fun stuff, the ones we all want, that's the stuff we need to have in moderation.
Sure.
I always call those your fun treats. Like
Yeah. I
you're
call them
not gonna
fun food.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not going to have them all the time. And I think that just knowing that it lives on this spectrum and lean more into that side and occasionally have this side, you don't need to overcomplicate it. And I really, my approach to all of this is how can we simplify this so that nobody has food anxiety. We grew
Yes.
up, Anna, where we
Yeah.
looked at the supermarket magazines and we were shamed for having cellulite. We had to eat
Yeah.
grapefruit diets and all of the things,
Yes. The
and
cabbage soup.
cabbage soup diet, and Oprah constantly yo-yoing because
Oh,
she was
yeah.
always under scrutiny and always
Yes.
had the next best thing,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it's lasted in all of us. And in perimenopause there is a raised increase in either body dysmorphia or eating disorders. It's almost like the
Really?
other end of the puberty spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a known phenomena. And so we've like our bodies change shape,
Yes.
sometimes
Yes.
without changing weight, because fat distribution
Right.
changes. We hold it
Around
more
the
around
core.
our mid
Yeah.
belly,
On midsection. Yeah.
midsection. The word section was like,
I knew what you meant.
what's that word? Menopause moment. I own them. Don't shy away from them. But
Good
yeah,
for you.
so we change shape, not always weight. But even if we did change weight, women are very reluctant to go, okay, I'm going to sort of lean into this and know stuff's happening and try and do my best. Instead, we just hate each other. We hate ourselves, sorry. We look at ourselves and go, ugh, I don't like this. And it's gross, really, the way we speak to ourselves, because
Right.
you wouldn't speak to me like that, and I wouldn't speak to you like that.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
so we're prime. We're prime for the predators to come in with their gross diets, their supplements, their newfangled way that the body is working when nothing is new. They know what the adaptations are in the body. And I think if we can simplify this to women and say, if you moved a little bit more, tried some strength training, like we'll tidy up
Yes.
your nutrition a little bit, you're going to start feeling better. I
Yes.
guarantee it. Yeah.
Guaranteed. Yeah, I mean, besides all of these supplements and replacement, there all the medication for menopause. Besides all of that, I have always been the advocate for let's start with our lifestyle anyway, and you will
Yeah.
start to feel better. Especially little things like, are you over consuming alcohol daily? Like, that's huge, and that's going to have a huge impact on how you're feeling. Maybe you need to start cutting back on that or eliminating it in some way. That's a huge one because there's really no benefit to
We were
alcohol at
we
all.
were also brought up with mummy wine time,
Lots of mommy wine time,
right?
especially in my world.
Totally, mine too. And I
Yeah.
remember, like, my husband worked away a lot, and I would have a glass of wine, and I don't watch much TV, so I would read my book, have a glass of wine, and I realized over the years that that wine glass was getting fuller and
Oh,
fuller. And
yes.
it was only one day I went to bed and walked into the staircase, and I was like, holy crap, I have two young kids upstairs, and I've just
Yeah.
like walked, and that I just was like, so then I reduced it. I actually don't drink at all now because menopause literally took that away from me, and for about 3 years I haven't drank, and that's
Yeah.
just a choice.
Me
But I
too.
have to say that if you're on menopause hormone therapy and you're stood by the wheelie bin smoking a cigarette and drinking a
That
glass
made
of
me laugh.
wine,
I don't
you're
know why that's
literally
funny.
not doing your health any favor. It
No,
doesn't override anything. This lifestyle stuff works alongside any medical
it's so important.
interventions. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important. I mean, two things. This, women getting angry saying it's just menopause, I'm gaining weight. It's just creating these excuses, stories, narratives that they're living by when they really can have better, improved health and feel better if they just take some steps when it comes to their nutrition and moving and eliminating the alcohol that's just making things so much worse. But I also I want to just reiterate what you're saying about the predators out there on social media and online and just wherever you're getting your messages from. They're out there, and there's nothing new under the sun. And even like I know that there's coaches out there saying they are a menopause coach or that kind of stuff is like, I'm personally have a problem with saying that because I'm not going to go saying I'm a menopause coach. I do work with women that are going through menopause and but that's not specific to, I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
No, I
I'm just
get
saying
you
there's
as well
predators
because
out there. Like, be
it does
careful.
give a little bit of like red flags, because if you have education that like means that you're a menopause informed coach, and you can sort of recognize that your client might be having a low energy day, or maybe struggling and maybe needs some accommodations, or maybe just some mobility work and not a heavy lifting session, that to me is a real strength. And if you want to say I work predominantly with menopausal women, blah blah blah, that
Sure.
shows me that you care. If you're a menopause hormone balancing coach that looks like, and I know coaches that do this, it's similar to the peptide craze at the moment,
Oh, yeah.
that they're working with private clinics to get women their hormones, or they're selling them peptides, and it crosses so many lines that,
Yes.
like, as
Yeah.
coaches, one of the things that you must feel this as well. I feel like as a coach, you end up being a life coach for your clients.
Yeah.
You don't just talk to them about exercise and
Right.
nutrition. You know everything about their dog going to the vets and like Ronnie going off to school. You know everything about them. And so if they come to you for advice about something that you don't know about, it's okay to say, I don't know, but you
Yeah.
know what? I can refer you to somebody who does, or I can give you some information to help you. And that's a really strong strength as a coach. And I think that I would always go into something skeptically as a client. Like, if you're seeing somebody advertise and stuff, do the digging, find out where they're leading you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not everyone's ethical.
Yes, I feel that way because I had my own transformation back in 2017 and 18, back when I was 46 and 47 years old. And I had just did it naturally. I really did do everything naturally when it came to not just my weight loss of 60 pounds, but also getting stronger,
Whoa.
leaner. And my physique I've maintained this strong, healthy, lean physique since. And I never had that before, you know? So I'm just so passionate about let's do this as naturally as you're able to and be on a system, get in a structured program, a structured plan that works for you individually and your life and your schedule. Don't make it complicated.
Yeah.
So I just had to say that.
Yeah. I think the overcomplicating thing is something that's out there, especially when you look at like
It
people
doesn't.
spending $500 a month on supplements because they are.
Yes, and it's not necessary.
No, and it could hurt you.
It could, yeah. So I know that we're getting closer to our
Yeah.
time of closing. So I want to completely respect your time, and I want to give you the opportunity to share with us, Amanda, tell us where our listeners can find you, and also you must mention your book because you've got an amazing book out there. So
Yeah,
please
so
share.
I'm predominantly on social media at the moment. I do a lot of corporate talks in the US, the UK, and Canada. I'm based in Canada, but I've lived in all of them, so I just have left my mark everywhere. So I do a lot of corporate wellness talks, menopause education, health education, essentially. So I do a lot of stuff there. I'm mainly on Instagram from like a businessy type, but I'm quite rude on there. Anna will be blushing every time I post a penis or something, but it's fine. Get over it. You know that
I like that coffee one you posted today. That was
I
pretty
know.
funny.
I know. There's a TV show in the UK called Amanda Land, and it's really, really funny. And she's called Amanda, so clearly I like it. And anyway, so go and check that out. Just
Okay.
Amanda Thebe. Everything's Amanda Thebe. If you look, my book is called Menopocalypse: How I Learned to Thrive During Menopause and How You Can Too. And it literally talks about. It's like your best mate's guide to menopause because I was so tired of over medicalized books, and I
Yeah.
was really tired of flippant books. And it was one of the first menopause sort of books out there. Truthfully, there's quite a lot now, and there's some really good ones, but it's about 5 years old now, and it's still a bestseller on Amazon. It's going well.
Yes.
And I lean into the definitions of like what menopause is, the treatments, why am I so bloody fat, what's going down below the bush, all of those things. It's quite funny. I
I
do talk
bet.
about serious science with a bit of humor. And then the
Uh-huh.
second part of the book is like your toolkit, what can you do? And it's nothing out of the ordinary. You wouldn't be surprised by it. But there is a 12-week strength training program in there because I really want to lean into women trying it at least.
Yeah, give it a
Um,
try.
and so yeah, and I'm building an app at the moment for menopause, and it's literally like a hub that will have education, community support, and some programs for sleep, sexual health, everything, nutrition, movement, and so that's launching this year too. So
Oh, how
I'm
beautiful.
busy.
Yeah, you are. Well, appreciate the time that you've taken to be a part of our world over here in
Yeah,
Rock That Fitness.
anytime, Anna,
And
anytime.
such a joy to actually meet you in person and just thank you for all that you're doing for us women out there and advocating for us, making this the thing. Like this is normal.
Well,
Normalize it.
you normalizing it as well, right? And it's
Yeah.
like we got you. It's fine, we've got you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe we'll come back again sometime, and I sure appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you out there and reading your book,
Thank you so
Menopocalypse.
much, Anna. Take
You
care.
bet you rock, girl. Rock on. Hold up, girl. Just want to remind you if you want to find out more information about Amanda Thebe, you can find it in the show notes. Go check it out. And also, I just want to thank you for being a loyal listener. Your time is very valuable, and I really appreciate you listening to the podcast and being a part of Rock That Fitness with Anna Rockstar. And then the last thing I want to say is if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're tired of all the dieting, the yo-yo dieting, the working so hard to try to figure things out, and you're struggling with your weight loss, fat loss, and you're ready to not just lose weight, but to shed the fat, get stronger, healthier, fitter, and age strong, and you need guidance so that you can actually achieve these goals for yourself and not just achieve these goals, but maintain them long term, I would love the opportunity to help you. So come join us inside of Rock That Fitness, where I can guide you step by step in a structured systematic way, just for you, individualized for you, your body, and also for your life and your schedule to make this work so that you can do this consistently and maintain the results long term and never need to diet again. And not only that, you're going to have me as your coach, and you're going to have this wonderful community of like-minded women, all the rock star women in Rock That Fitness. So this is my special personalized invitation to you. If you want more information, you don't need to wait for an open registration. The doors are open and I'll help guide you step by step. So come on in here. Everything will be very easy to follow, simple, step by step. You'll be inside the Rock That Fitness app, beginning your training right away, no matter what your level is, even if you have never, especially if you have never started strength training, this is for you. At any level, whether you train inside of a gym or at home with your own equipment, Rock That Fitness is for you. And I just want to invite you. So come on in. The link will be in the show notes. And remember, self-care, self-love, all day, every day. Do I have your word? Great. Let's rock.